Going live. Going live. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? I think we're live. Are we live? I think we're live. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Sorry we're running a little bit late. We didn't even sound check again like we were supposed to. Instead, as per usual, we started talking about stuff and started waffling, and then we were like, whoops, it's that time of day again. So yes, that's where we're up to. Right, advert must be close. Excellent. Right, yes, Caradog is just retrieving the Kofi, so he will be among us momentarily. I
am still here.
Oh yeah, that's right, wireless mics. Lol. Due to the miracle of wireless mics, Caradog is actually in our ears already. Or in your ears already.
I am already blessing you with my presence, even though I am invisible.
Is the frame rate weird? Let's see. Oh yeah, the frame rate is weird. We are at a low frame rate. I'm just
Are you butchering
test.
my beautiful camera's output?
Yeah, one sec. I'm trying something a bit different today. I am VNC'd into the stream computer, so I can control it from there. Don't know if that's affecting it. I'm going to close the VNC connection.
Also, your coffee machine has failed to give you a crema.
Oh. Did you change the pad?
Yeah.
Oh.
You have failed to receive a crema.
Yeah,
Would you like me to do a second one?
I'm not going to lie. I'll take a second one. That does not look like that doesn't look very appetizing to me. So yes. And then yeah, let me just see if I can figure out why the frame rate is weird. One moment. It's the usual thing. Right, let's see. Live Gamer HD2. Why are we at potato frame rates? That looks like it has changed things.
Hello.
All right. That's more like it. There we go. Okay, right. I'm going to reopen the VNC viewer and see if that breaks it again. And that has not broken it. There we go. Good. So the reason why I'm VNCing is because it means that I can control OBS from my laptop because the stream computer is over there now. This is only the second time we're running this layout on the shop, and we're still fine-tuning it, but that's how it be. So yes, there we go. Right. Ugh, extreme close-up.
All we need now is the mute button to work on the roads.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Or did we test that?
Well, I tested it last time and couldn't get it to actually mute.
Oh yeah, I think we might.
Because it appears that you have to run software for a mute button to work.
Yeah, that would be handy to have. Not mission critical because, like, yeah, because that's the thing is if you're doing something that's particularly sensitive, you should take the mic off anyway. I would never trust a mute button, but yeah.
It was more to not be annoying with the sound of a coffee machine.
Yes, this is true. This is true. There we go. You'd have used RDP if possible. Yeah, I didn't because that opens up a different session on the computer, which blacks out those screens. But then that might be more useful. I think RDP would probably be better if I'm honest, because VNC's old, and I went for VNC because I had about 30 seconds to get something working, and I was like, VNC. But yeah, I should have RDP'd. You're right. Ask Big Clive about muting before P. Oh no. So yeah, try any desk. I need to get savvy with remote desktop software because it's just not something I do or have done in a long time, and I need to change my ways. Because yeah, it's something that I need on hand, and I don't do it when I could because I don't have a setup for it. So yeah.
I was also just like, what the hell is that preview? Yeah. But then I realised it was the VNC.
That's across VNC, yeah.
I was just like, we appear to be approximately missing the frames.
Indeed. There we go. Right, anyway, right, I think we're ready to go. NiceAsh released 100% LHR unlock on their quick miner.
Interesting.
Interesting. I thought you had a Founders 3080 Ti, Chris. I thought you had an FE. In which case, it wouldn't be LHR anyway.
It would be for the 3070 Ti, 3080 Ti, and 3090 Ti, I presume.
Yeah.
Just because those ones came out after.
Oh, the TIs, yeah.
The TIs came out afterwards and would have had it on there. Also, sitting on the stool this way around is incredibly uncomfortable.
Is that lengthways? Yeah. I'm going to turn it around as well. I have them lengthways. When I'm working in the shop because it's faster to do the Riker maneuver when it's the other way around. But for long periods of time, it's much more comfortable this way round. So yeah, I do it that way around so I can just Riker maneuver onto the stool and get off the stool very quickly.
Yes.
Anyway, yes, hello. Right, okay. 15 minutes into the stream, and we're now saying hello. How are you all doing? We're going to be talking and looking at keyboards today. Because I bought a new keyboard this week, and I think it's interesting, and I want to take it apart and see what it looks like inside. So yeah, I've got a new keyboard, which is this Royal Kludge keyboard that I bought from Amazon. I'll show you more in a minute. And yeah, I kind of want to take it apart and just basically, I want to see if it's any good or if it's just Chinese tat. Basically, I think it feels quite nice, but I'm not a connoisseur of keyboards. Caradog has bought. How many keyboards did you bring? Yeah.
6?
6. Caradog has bought like 6 different keyboards with him, just so we can talk about keyboards and stuff. And yeah, the idea is the question for today is because I feel like this is a question that I'm asking because I'm in this position where I've got a mechanical keyboard at home. I've got a Cooler Master keys. And I'm at that point where I'm just like, I want to customize this. I want some interesting keycaps or I want some interesting switches. But because it's not a custom keyboard as such, it's not very. You can't change much on it. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to buy a keyboard that I can mess around with. What do I buy, and stuff like that. Apparently, autofocus is hunting occasionally again, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. That keyboard looked like the new Nzxt keyboard that Jay showed off. Yeah. Oh man. I'm not sold on the new. Not sold on the new Nzxt keyboards at all. So because yeah, Jay just did a sponsored.
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. So Jay's 2 cents just did a sponsored video on the Nzxt build keyboards. And
yeah. No, I have actually. From what I've seen, they seem to be quite good. I think
mixed reviews
as a custom, as kind of a big company does custom keyboard, they're actually quite good.
Yeah, well, I had a quick look before. I looked at a couple of different keyboards before, earlier on today, just so I could come into this with half a clue on what's generally around at the moment. And the Nzxt one, I went to their website and I was just like, cool, I want to buy one of these, and I went through the process of it. So the TLDR is you can choose whether it's hot swappable or not, or modular or not. You can choose what switches go in there, and their default selection is Gatorons. And you can choose the color of keycaps that go on there, and it adds the price up depending on what you choose. And realistically, a bog standard keyboard, you're going to be paying approximately $150 for it. Now, that's reasonably expensive compared to other options, which we're going to talk about today.
Excuse me.
But it's not madness prices, but also it's
it's in the ballpark of what I would spend.
Yeah, I also think it's a reasonable price because it's going to have Nzxt RGB on it, and fancy RGB is what is actually missing from most of the indie keyboards, which we're going to be looking at today.
I feel like to a degree, because most of the indie keyboard people are like, stop it.
We don't care. Yeah.
Stop it. And stop it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like this just has a single color backlight on it.
Yeah.
And when I looked at that, I was just like, oh, but man, it doesn't have RGB. But I think and this is the thing. The first thing that I have said to myself about going into the next stages of keyboards is I need to get over the want to have RGB on my keyboard, because the reality is I don't actually care. Keyboard backlights,
yeah, basically.
Keyboard backlights look amazing, but they're not useful.
I don't know.
I think the only time a keyboard backlight is useful is if you're in a dark room, and you should be sitting in a dark room anyway. I'm not saying you've got to have all the lights on in the room, but even if you have the most basic bitch desk lamp, which you should have, you don't need a backlight. Are you pulling out an all black one or something?
No. I'm just saying when you're using a keyboard
that is too small to see.
That is like that, and you have that level of...
Okay, so let's do the test run here. So let's start showing some keyboards off. Audio keeps cutting out. Anyone confirm? Audio sound okay to everyone? Should be okay. Right, hang on a sec. Let me go to Benchcam 2. Yep, here we go.
Ta-da!
So, right, forget that keyboard. So here is my new Royal Kludge, and here is a small keyboard. So what size is this keyboard?
40%.
This is a 40% keyboard, and it's got about 4 layers of keys on it. So yeah, if you've got a keyboard like this, yeah, you might need some good lighting to actually see what the hell you're doing there. I'll give you that. This is astonishing. What is this? This is a core key. Where do you plug this in? Is it Bluetooth? Oh, it's up there. There it is. Oh, yeah. USB port up there. Okay. That's got very clicky switches in it.
Yeah, it's got MX Blues.
Yeah. Yeah. This is approximately crazy, and I wouldn't use this. This is a very small keyboard. For typing, it's okay, but the lacking num keys and F keys would drive me up the wall. I don't think I can go any smaller than something like this. For a daily use keyboard, losing the top 2 rows would just be too annoying, because like in gaming, not having F keys is really frustrating for me, in my opinion.
I don't think I've ever used an F key in a video game.
I think it's mainly if you just touch any older games at all. Like older games where you want to use F keys for quick save and quick load and stuff like that.
Yes, maybe.
Yeah, like lots of older games used F keys for menu items, which is probably why I'm in love with F keys.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fair enough.
This is my main keyboard at home.
Is it? Is that the one that you're using?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's the one I use all the time at home.
Yeah. So you don't have a small desk at home. Do you just use it because it's cool, because it's a small keyboard?
Yeah, basically, because I quite like. Just a case of because I like it.
Yeah, just because of how little space it uses up. It's cool.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. Because like I don't think I could go back to using a full-sized keyboard at home, because I'd have to have it like TKL is definitely the way forward. Apparently, autofocus keeps looking for the laptop.
Just because that's the comparison I enjoy doing.
Yes, this is true. Yes, it is approximately half the width. Apparently, the autofocus keeps hitting the laptop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think we'll have to change that.
That's fine.
Yeah, hold on. We'll switch off the autofocus. Again, the autofocus should be looking for our faces, but it just keeps hitting the laptops and things like that, which is irksome. Stand by, everyone. We'll be with you momentarily. Shadow of the Tomb Raider uses F1 to 4 for potions. Interesting. Audio is a little bit low. It should be okay. Oh yeah, that's a bit on the low side. I thought we checked this last time. I'll bump it up a little bit. We did do some last minute changes last week, and I forgot to do anything else. We were supposed to sound check, and I forgot.
That'll do.
I'll put in a bit more. There we go. Okay, there's a little bit more audio. There we go. And Caradog is super low. Apparently you're low. Do you want to try moving yours up a notch? Because yeah. Hello. Because we moved yours down a button last week just because we were having. I think you were peaking, but also again we've changed the setup again from last week. But we didn't sound check this week, and we really should have sound checked.
Who does sound checking?
Oh yeah, big time. Oh well. Right, Caradog should be noticeably louder now. Let's see. Anyway, yeah. Is my one a... Yeah, so this keyboard... so the Royal Kludge... Well, these keyboards... Yeah, all of these, actually, are all US layout. And I for US layout keyboards, to get the pound symbol, the trick is you do Alt 156 on the numpad, and that gives you a pound symbol. So this is fine as long as you have a numpad. If you're using actual TKL where there's no numpad, you can't do pound symbols. So actually, oh yeah, and the way that Caradog is doing pound symbols, Caradog has an MMO mouse with a numpad on the side of it. So Caradog uses his mouse to do pound sterling symbols, which I have mixed opinions about. That's really, like, it works, but also I'm just like, oh, really? Alt-GR pound symbol on a UK keyboard gives you euros. Oh, yeah.
Dollar. Alt-GR dollar.
Yeah, that's euro, though, yeah. Mm. So, yeah. Where were we? So, yeah, that is all doable. Right. So, what I want to do, I want to start taking this apart while we waffle about keyboards. That looks fun. What's this?
That's the Ducky. Which one is it? 1-2SF.
Is this a new one?
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this one before. So hang on a sec, let me.
It is very much my least favourite of keyboards.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah. So yeah, this is a Ducky. I like the form factor of that one. That looks cool.
Yeah.
Just because
it's because it's got MX Blacks in it.
MX Blacks, okay.
And I don't like the switches.
Oh, those are very heavy. Yeah, is that heavy heavy linear?
Yeah, they're heavy linear, so they're the heavy reds effectively.
Yeah, they are noticeably heavier, which in a way I quite like because I find reds are a bit too light.
Yeah, I just didn't like the typing feel, and I found it very fatiguing.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I'm like. Whenever I try a linear keyboard with smooth switches rather than tactile switches, at first I think I like it because I'm like, ooh, that's very smooth. But then when I actually start trying to do some typing, I'm just like, oh, I keep missing keys because I'm not sure where the actuation point is.
Yeah, also just a case of the fact of I just don't like the feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that as in it's too heavy or just a...
There is nothing.
Yeah.
It just feels like there is nothing.
Yeah.
It's just whatever.
Yeah. See, and this leads into the idea of hot swap keyboards because obviously the issue is changing the switches on a keyboard. It's absolutely doable. It's just an enormous undertaking because you've got to strip the keyboard down and desolder every switch, which is a lot of work. So the idea is that with hot swap keyboards, you can actually just change out the switches if you've got a set of switches that you don't like. So that's where this comes in. I'm just going to quickly have a look at this, and we're going to start taking this apart because I want to see like whether this has a metal deck or what. Firstly, what's your opinion of that? What are your thoughts on this one?
I like the keycap coloring.
It looks nice,
good.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a good out of box.
I'm just going to find the box for it because it's got tools in.
I think it's just there, isn't it?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Where was it? It was nearby. I saw it, and then I've lost sight of it.
I like the fact that whilst you say this is a single color, at least you've got B and G.
No, that's whether it's Bluetooth or...
Oh, absolutely. All you need is an
Yeah.
And you will have RGB, but it will not be colors.
The red could be infrared.
For communicating with your printer.
Yes. Actual typewriter. Oh my god. Oh, there's the box.
Oh no. Direct input to printer, printing characters as you hit characters.
I love it and I hate it in equal measure.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, also, by the way, hello Ben Laird with the £5 super chat. I saw that pop up earlier on, but I was mid-flow. Thank you very much for the super chat. How are you?
So what are these switches?
These are Gatoron Browns.
Oh, okay. So these should be
they're
light tactiles.
Yeah, they're similar to MX Browns, but they've just got a slightly different feel to them. I think they feel nicer than MX Browns. I think there's less wobble to them. I think they're more either that or my master keys at home with MX Browns is just worn out.
I don't know.
Yeah. I found, yeah, I felt like
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I thought the keys felt a bit more like there is wobble on the keycaps, but I feel like the actuation felt a bit more. I don't know, better. But again, I've not used that many keyboards, so I feel like it doesn't take a lot to impress me. Just anything that is better than just basic bitch keyboards, I'm like, oh, that's nice,
yeah,
kind of thing. Royal Kludge is definitely a euphemism for things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Apparently we're out of focus, but the desk is in focus. Oh yeah, it's a little bit close. I don't know. I think we need to. I can
make us. I was about to say I can make us longer. That's not what I meant in the slightest.
We didn't spend a lot of time setting up today, I'm afraid, so everything's a little bit.
Would you like to be lengthened?
Hodgepodge. Lengthen me.
Oh. Or not. Oh no. Hold on. Oh no.
What have you done?
So there seems to be a fault with the camera.
Yeah.
Where sometimes on the HDMI output, the focus will just not.
Is that possibly why we keep having issues with autofocus?
There is a problem with this camera with that.
Yeah.
Where on the HDMI output, the focus will just stop. And for me at my desk at home, it stops here. And I sit here.
Okay, yeah.
And I will notice it because I'll be sat there and suddenly the focus will be locked there and I'll be like...
yeah.
So yes.
At the moment, it's just putting us... Yeah, we're literally just a foot out.
So yes, I have to do...
Yeah. Stand by, everyone. We'll be with you momentarily.
There you go. Now we have focus.
Oh, yeah.
See?
All right. Okay, I'm going to sit here because this is... so if you put me in focus now, that should be correct. Yeah, that looks better. Excellent. There we go.
Yeah, there is a weird issue with that camera.
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
Yeah. As if it's manageable and you know what the problem is, then it's fixable. But
yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
Frustrating.
It's just marginally frustrating because it happens when it's on manual focus as well. It will effectively override the manual focus and just go to error.
Yeah, yeah.
This is like, oh, whatever.
Grr. Oh well. Right. Anyway, let's see. So, right, I'm going to start taking this. I'm going to start having a look at this to investigate because, as I say, so this Royal Kludge keyboard, I bought this from. I actually bought this from Amazon US this week because I had money to spend on. I had Amazon US vouchers because of reasons. I wanted to. Yeah. However, you can buy this on AliExpress for about $50, I think, $50 or $60. So if you're in the UK, by the time you spent VAT and shipping on that, it's going to be more like £70 or £70 or £80, I think, which is pretty good bang for buck. But again, there are other options out there that we're probably going to talk about, like PC Gaming Master Race keyboard. So that's the GMMK, I think, the glorious modular mechanical keyboard, and Keychron.
I have no idea how much that keyboard actually is.
Yeah.
But I just remember looking at it at some point and just going, oh, because it was like £300 or something.
Oh yeah,
or £400 or something, and it was like, bring your own switches as well, and I was just like,
let's have a look see super quick. Hang on a sec. I'm just going to switch back to here while I look that up.
How? Oh, do you know what we did also forget?
What?
Softbox.
Yeah, I noticed
we have done zero setup.
Yeah, the setup today.
To be honest, I'm going to do that now.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Whilst you're doing that, we can. And the wonder of wireless mics means I can walk to the other side of the shop.
I'm a bit annoyed because where last week was a little bit scuffed, it was my full intention that we were actually going to do a proper sound check and everything this week, but I completely forgot. Caradog rolled up at 3 o'clock, and then I started waffling about something, and then we waffled about things, and then suddenly it was 22, and we were just like, oh, fuck. So, yeah.
I was stood at the coffee machine, got a notification on my watch, saw the time at the same time, and went, we need to go live.
Yes. Right, how much is the GMMK? keyboard, mice, full size, 10 keyless. Yeah, so I just, on their website, pre-built, what if I customize it then? The base price is $110.
Oh, okay, that is not horrifying.
$110, yeah. So, but what is that actually got? So, keyboard size, TKL. Yeah, I think that's for the whole thing. I'm going for 10 keyless because full size is the same price as 10 keyless in this instance. The base one is all the same. Well, however, 10 keyless is representative of a slightly smaller keyboard because I don't think many people actually go full. I don't think anyone goes full size for custom keyboards. There are some. Right, so let's pretend that we're just going to use Gateron Browns because those are basic. They're not exotic. Then select your keycaps. Let's just do some basic keycaps. Oh, Pixel Pink Aurora. Oh, okay, so if you want them to have shine through on them. So yeah, if we want it to shine through, let's do basic. Let's be fair. Let's go for the basic price for something that is actually a thing. ABS, sure. $130. Okay, yeah, so the GMMK is not the cheapest in the world. That is with an RGB backlight, though, as well, which is worth noting.
Absolutely. It's
the
also
cheaper options do not have full RGB backlights.
Yeah, it is also the case of just it's not the horrifying price that I saw somewhere.
No,
I mean,
you can spec it up. You can put in exotic switches and exotic keycaps, and very easily go over $200 with this. But it's not silly money. So yeah, the GMMK or the Keychron are the alternatives that I would be proposing. So the question is, and those are costing a bit more than the Royal Kludge. So the question is the Royal Kludge actually just as good as those? Could you have one of these and have something that's actually good? That's the question I want to ask. Or are we going to open this up to find that it's actually just cheap and poorly built and stuff like that? And in which case it's going to be a matter of, okay, well, it's cheap, but you get what you pay for, you know. So yeah.
But yeah.
You'd prefer full size because you need the numpad. Well, that's why I particularly like the layout that I've got on this 96%er, because this one being 96%, it also has a numpad. We do actually have the numpad, but compared to a full size, it is the TKL. It's the TKL length, but still has the numpad. And yeah, you do still have print screen, home, insert, page up, page down as well. End is a bit awkward. You've got to do FN page down to get end, which is a bit of a stretch for the hand. But, I mean, you've got home and you've got page down. End isn't a key that I think a lot of people use, but obviously there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. So with this one...
Oh, you've also got end there. So
oh, yeah, yeah.
You access that.
Yeah, you can have numlock off and just use these keys numlock off as well. So that's the thing. So I'm going to take a couple of keycaps off just to demonstrate the whole hot swappableness. So let's pull that out.
Oh, see, it's also got an option for Windows and Mac layout.
Yes, it does have a Windows and Mac layout as well, which is interesting. I haven't tested that, but it's a thing it has. What else did it have on the bottom? So yeah, it's got power on, power off. It's got 2.4 gigahertz wireless or Bluetooth, and it also has Type-C USB with a USB hub on it as well, which I quite like. I really like the idea of having the USB hub there.
Did it say what type of hub it was?
It's going to be USB 2.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, that's USB 2. But the point is you can plug in a wireless, you can put your wireless mouse dongle in there, which I think is the realistic use for something like this.
Yeah.
And I guess you could put in a flash drive with documents on it because for Word documents and stuff, you don't care about USB 3.
Also a case of you could just have a stubby USB coming off of it and stick your controller on it. Or something as well.
So yeah. Nice so I've never actually played with a hot swap keyboard before, so I'm going to try just yanking out one of these switches now. I have spares. Okay, no, it didn't break off. That just looks horrifying. Okay, that was horrifying because I did it wrong. So, word to the wise, you have to do it from above because that then pinches in the little gripper things. I've got spares of these keys, so it doesn't matter if I actually break them. This is why I wanted to explore this. Okay, so I should have done that from the top. So, however, the important thing now is if I go in for a big old close-up down here, let me just focus the camera, which is... there we go. So as you can see, there's actually a socket down there. There's actually a socket down there for the pins to go in, rather than them being soldered. So the thing is now, so these are Gateron Browns, and if I decided I wanted to change, I could just buy a set of switches and change the switches in this keyboard. So that's what makes this modular, or hot swap, is that now if I use this for a bit and then I'm like, you know what, I'm not into the Gateron Browns, or someone's just like, oh, you want to try these switches, they're the best, you can do that. Oh, no, will these, no, these, oh God, they will fit.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay, hang on a sec. Well, I don't have keycaps for this, but we could also put in some low profile keys. Oh no, no, the profile is actually different. We've got some low profile keys here because of reasons, but they actually won't fit in the keyboard because the depth is too different. Sorry for the wobble count, by the way, but yeah. So no, we can't mess around with those. That would have been very funny. That would have been actually kind of interesting if you could actually turn it into a low profile keyboard.
Yeah, I didn't realize that these were low profile switches until then.
Yeah, yeah. So that is the hot swap action. And also, Paul Howe says USA keyboard layout. Yeah. So the reason why I mentioned earlier on, so you can do the pound sterling symbol on a US keyboard by holding the Alt key and going 156, and that will give you a pound symbol. So that's the main thing that a US keyboard can't do that you would want in the UK. Now, the reason why I went for US layout is that, yes, you can buy replacement keycaps for ISO or UK layout keyboards, but there's much less choice available. When you're looking at different keycap sets, all of them are US layout. And yes, there are UK ones out there, but you've got significantly less choice. And both times where I've bought new keycaps for my master keys at home, there's been something missing or something wrong with the ISO layout. It's been missing one of the keys, or it hasn't had the hash key that goes here, or something like that. It's had something wrong with it. There's the difference between the full height and the low profile keys, by the way.
Which is substantial.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to try a mechanical low profile keyboard. I don't know whether I'd like it or not.
I mean, it'll be dramatically better than the one in the MacBook.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't hate laptop keyboards. I hate MacBook keyboards, or well, I hate the butterfly keyboard.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Ultimately, I think I would prefer full height ones, but it'd be interesting to try one of these out. But anyway, so US layout, it gives me more choice of different keycap sets to buy, which is why I wanted US layout. But also, it'd be interesting to see whether this can actually be converted to ISO or not. So I'm going to carry on taking keycaps off for a sec. And then I actually want to take this thing apart, so I need to find where all the screws are.
Ouch.
So yes. Right, okay, hang on a sec. Let me carry on.
There's possibly a stabilizer bar. It's the other way around. The other end is the keycap pillar.
Yes, that's what I realised, but it doesn't stretch across the enter key very well. I think I might be better off screwdrivering that off. There we go. Yeah, I did it. Well, are you getting a better key puller?
It depends if I have my ducky one in here. Do I have my... There you go, there's a little ducky one.
Oh, that's the same thing. There we go. Right. No, it looks like the layout is based on the deck, and that is a metal deck. So yeah, it is not a plastic deck, it is a metal one. So word on the wire is that the Nzxt one is a bit too plasticky and the build quality isn't great.
Oh, interesting.
But this is based on YouTube comments. Suffice to say, again, on the Jay's 2 cents video about the Nzxt keyboards, the comment section is not being kind. There's a lot of keyboard snobs in there basically saying you should have bought a GMMK or a Keychron. I have a suspicion they're probably right, but also, again, if you want RGB, the Nzxt is going to be vastly superior. But then on the other hand, Nzxt RGB is not the be-all and end-all either. If you want fancy RGB, you should buy a Corsair. So, I don't know. And then there's this as well, just while we're on the subject of keyboards. There's this horrible thing. This is a very compact keyboard. This is membrane, though.
Is it?
I don't know. Oh, yeah. Is it?
No, it's proper cherries.
Is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it is.
Yeah. But...
That's rad.
Yeah.
I just assumed it would be membrane.
This keyboard is probably... This keyboard design is pushing over 40 years.
Yeah. So you can tell how old this guy is because it's got ITV Anglia on it. Hands up in the audience, who knows what that is. But yeah, that's, of course, it's a genuine cherry keyboard. So yeah. That's heckin' rad. Yeah. Because as soon as I touched that, I was like, oh, actually, that doesn't feel like a membrane. Because at sight, I thought it was. And then I was like, oh, what witchcraft is this? So yeah, that's a thing then. Well then, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I'm going to carry on taking this apart while we talk, because as I say, I want to see what's on the inside of this.
Absolutely, but yeah, just a case of, I picked this up for free from a friend.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. So to take this apart, there's no screws on the bottom. So to take this apart, there's some screws on the deck that I need to get to. So I'm going to take off the necessary keys to reach those. So, Caradog, you were talking recently about wanting to buy some new keyboards. Was it Keychron that you were looking at?
I was looking at the Keychron ones, just because you mentioned about this being wireless and Bluetooth and so on.
Yeah, because the Keychron ones are also wireless and Bluetooth.
Because there are wireless Keychron ones and wired Keychron ones. And I was just like, oh, the wireless ones, they also look like good keyboards. Yeah, the Keychron looks like it works out at about $100 as well. It's very good value for money. In my opinion, I think it looks like it might be slightly better quality than this one. Like it doesn't have the USB hub, but the switches on the side look much nicer than these little dip switches. And also, like the receiver for this, I mean, it doesn't really matter what the receiver looks like, but it is a really cheap and tatty-looking receiver. It doesn't have all the finesse that like a Logitech receiver has. And also, I suspect the actual wireless signal strength on it isn't great, because where I've been testing this on the workbench this week, there have been times where it's been missing keystrokes, which I suspect is a wireless reception issue. But again, it's early days. It's too early to really cast judgment. But yeah, what were your thoughts? What were you thinking of buying? I was looking at them purely because you said about this, not because I specifically wanted to buy one. Okay, yeah. However, from what I've seen of them, they look really nice. Yeah. And like $100, or I'd say I think they work out at about £100 delivered. Yeah, seems to be very good bang for buck as well. If you buy them from their website, or you can get them on Amazon for like £88. Oh, if they're on Amazon, that's great as well. Yeah, Amazon, I mean, obviously Amazon UK. Yeah, you can't customize as much, so I'd imagine. No, but they at least give you switch options. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, and also obviously, like really, all of them are hot. All of the keyboards are hot swappable. Yeah, and they've got the switch option, so it doesn't overly matter. I'm looking for screws so I don't have to take out every single hecking keycap on this thing. But yes, yeah, fair enough. That looks interesting then. Because the other thing that made me interested in this topic was that I was under the impression that if you wanted a fancy keyboard, you had to go full custom, where you bought all of the components and built it up yourself. And the annoying thing about that is that it costs like $300 to do that. Like the cheapest ones are like $200 or so by the time you bought all the parts. Yeah, because I was flicking through a couple of the kits, and I was just like, the price is a lot, and I'm not that into it. Yeah, that's it. And I'm like, I can't. And it feels to me like the only reason why you'd actually want to do that is to get hot swap and specific switches and stuff like that. And it feels like you can just buy something like this as a start point and work from there. And that's a much cheaper option, a much better value for money. I feel like, in a way, it kind of feels like one of those things where it's like... Sorry, I'll just take them all off. you're at the point where it's like, well, I've had one of those, but I need to do X and I need to do Y, and it's the 0.1% of the 0.1%.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I'm going to take off every other switch just so I can hunt for screws, because I know there's going to be some ones that I haven't seen.
Yeah, but I think that's where the fully custom ones come in. They are for that even niche of mechanical keyboards. But it's like I can't remember if last time we were talking about them, I was linking the random weird ass keyboard layouts, like the 104% keyboard.
Oh yes.
And like the 140% keyboard I found, which was the keyboard with 40% more keys.
Yes. More keys on your keys.
So yeah, and it was just like, oh, but it was like a deck, and then it had an arching bit up here.
Okay, yeah.
It was just, what?
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's just like, those are for a very specific niche of people who want bonkers layouts. Like heckin' Terran from LTT. But also, it feels like the kind of people who want to do a lot of exotic macros and stuff like that, they end up doing weird custom stuff anyway.
Yeah. Also, the other thing, to a degree, if you can just have two keyboards.
Yeah, just grab a screwdriver.
And have those two keyboards appear separately.
Yeah, which is absolutely possible.
Yeah. And it's just kind of a case of, it's like, well, I can buy one nice keyboard and then have one cheap keyboard over there. And the cheap keyboard I'm not really typing on, so I don't care that it's a cheap keyboard. And has commonplace cherry switches. Imagine being common and plebby enough to have cherry switches.
Yeah, well, that's it. A lot of people do sneer at Cherry MX, and I'm just like, bloody hell, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that there are some different options out there. There's another one.
Oh, interesting. But, I prefer that stabilizer design.
What, having the separate things?
Yeah.
As opposed
to doing clips.
Yeah, the bar is actually underneath the frame here. You can just see that the bar actually goes underneath, which is very cool. That's very nice for changing keycaps.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't quite understand how that functions because I can't press on it, but
because it will slide up and down inside the channels on there.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the lower position. That's why. Yeah.
And what it will also
do is it pushed up by the key.
Yeah, and it effectively just stops the keyboard. Obviously, this going side to side.
Yeah.
So much just because of the size. But yeah.
Yeah. Right. Adam Williams says, reminds you of the Cooler Master Quickfire TK. Cooler Master did some really cool keyboards, which is why I've got a Master Keys at home. But Cooler Master, for some reason or other, they just keep randomly discontinuing their keyboards. They make keyboards and they make some really nice, really good bang for buck mechanical keyboards. And then just as you go sort of, oh yeah, buy this, people will be like, I can't find it anywhere. And you're like, oh, it looks like they don't make it anymore.
Yeah.
And then now and then it pops up again for a bit and you can buy them again and then they disappear again. And I don't know why. It feels like Cooler Master can never decide if they actually want to make keyboards or not.
Yeah. But perhaps maybe they're manufacturing them in the same way as Pine Saw manufacture stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever they can get an order in when someone says, we've got spare space.
Yeah.
And they go, sure, we'll chuck it in at the cheapest option kind of thing. And then someone pops up and says, we'll pay you 70p more. And the factory's like, never mind.
Yes.
And Cooler Master are like, cool, okay, whatever.
Although, to be honest, like these days, Cooler Master were good bang for buck because the idea is they were RGB mechanical keyboards for about £80 to £100, which versus the cost of like Corsair keyboards is bloody spectacular. But now with the likes of Keychron about, it's a case of, well, there are actually better options than that now.
Yeah.
But also,
like that.
Yeah, that's actually why I'm quite excited about these alternative brand keyboards because, like, as I say, I thought that realistically you had to go and buy, if someone said, I want a gaming mechanical keyboard, I'd probably say, go and buy a Corsair K60 or something like that for about £120. For about £120 because that's going to get you something that is a mechanical keyboard, But that's the thing. Now it's just like, no, you can tell them to go and buy a Keychron from Amazon and they're going to actually get a pretty good keyboard for a decent amount of money. So I need a prying tool as well because I'm not sure if I actually need to remove all the switches. I hope I don't, just to open this thing up.
I mean, I'd expect you to.
Yeah. Are we? Yeah.
Have you pulled out one of the switches? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because the switches sit above the deck.
Yeah.
And they've got the little tabs on.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to pull out all the switches.
All right, we're de-switching this. We're going hard. We're taking the whole thing out. In that case, I'm going to switch to the face cam so we can waffle, and I'll do this on the small cam. All right, we're going to here. And
going through changes.
That needs to be. I haven't updated this for the camera changes yet. And this is going to be upside down, isn't it? Oh, activate. Where is it? I don't know. Oh, that's the C920. Oh my god. Hang on a minute.
Yeah? And you've changed it to the Brio Stream Edition.
Hang on a minute. A minute, hang on. Oh, there we go. There's something. Okay, there we go.
Did it?
Okay, that lives there now. There we go. So now you can still see my face. And, well, actually, the camera's there and it's kind of pointing. Whatever. I'm going to carry on disassembling this while we do things. Right.
Did it?
Did it. Right. Also, by Magician, I think someone else earlier on said, what are the quiet switches? There are no quiet switches.
How very dare you?
There are quieter switches, but there is the only way...
The actual switch noise on this, though.
The problem
is...
People bottom out the switches.
The problem is most people don't know how to type and therefore bottom out.
Yeah. Basically,
I am in that category of person.
Same here, yeah. The only way that a mechanical keyboard can be quiet is if you don't bottom out the switch. And that means not hitting it all the way to the bottom of the travel, because it's striking the bottom of the travel that makes the clack. Now, you can reduce the harshness of that with O-rings, and I think also with lubing as well. But ultimately, the only way to make it quiet is to learn to not bottom out keys. And that requires... And that requires actually changing the way you type. My master keys at home is O-ringed, and that makes it a lot less harsh. But O-rings do not make the keyboard silent. They just reduce, they just take out the tap. I actually made a video about adding O-rings. If you search for, I think if you search the channel for, if you search my channel for keyboard O-rings, it will probably pop up. But I did a video where I actually showed fitting O-rings to my master keys.
I mean, based also on the way that you name your videos, it's also probably called something like upgrading my keyboard.
Yeah, something like that.
If you search the main channel and include the word keyboard, I'm sure it will appear.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of laptop keyboard repair there for that search, though, is why I'm umming and ahhing. But at any rate, I have a video on fitting O-rings, and in that video, I actually include a soundbite where I recorded before and after, and I show the waveform of the recording in Audacity, and you can see how the volume is about the same, but there's much less harsh clack on the waveform. So it shows how it doesn't make it quieter, but it makes the sound less harsh.
That's interesting.
And there's 2 points that's interesting, is that it's less annoying, but it also means because it's less harsh, I think that is potentially the difference between your keyboard activating the noise filtering on your mic or not. So if you're sitting in voice chat, I think it's the difference between your mates being able to hear you typing or not.
Yeah.
Because I think we all know that one person who has their mic sitting next to their mechanical keyboard, and you can hear them typing in everything, and you could probably decode their password. I've got one such friend in my friend group that I VC with on most evenings, and just, yeah.
Do they not also suffer the issue, though, their microphone is garbage?
Their microphone is fine, but
I think someone else you were complaining about then.
No, yeah, one of the other friends in that group routinely joins the voice chat from a hands-free kit in their car, and they sound like they're at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. So, yeah. And when they join, they join and they're like, "Hi guys," and we're just like, "Yeah, listen, don't speak. Listen, don't speak. Hello, it's love to hear you, but
see, do you know what you do? You just remove their permission from speaking in the server."
Yes. DeskPad also helps a lot with the noise. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. Yep, I have my keyboard on a desk mat rather than straight onto the thing. It's one of the reasons why I like big mouse pads, because I like to have my keyboard on my mouse pad as well. So that's the thing.
I modified my 40% keyboard, the original one I had, by adding felt to the bottom of it. Just fuzzy crafting felt.
Oh, what, just
to add a bit of an
as like feet on the bottom of it, kind of
thing.
Yeah,
so I added one that was just the entire bottom.
Yeah.
And then added several strips, and then added strips, getting smaller, going across, so there was an angle.
Okay, yeah.
Just to tilt the key slightly back, because obviously it's perfectly flat.
Yeah, it doesn't have a tilting bail, yeah.
So it was just a case of I did that, and I was just like, yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, because like, I don't like mad angle on my keyboard, but I like just a little bit of tilt. I'm not sure I'd be okay with a flat keyboard.
Yeah.
So yeah. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, another thing that I've seen people doing as well is adding felt under the circuit board, so inside the keyboard, which can also apparently dampen it. Yeah, apparently that dampens it a little bit as well. Is there any way to reduce the rattly spacebar? Well, that comes down to, again, the construction of the keyboard. I think that's mainly down to how good the stabilizer is on the keyboard.
You can get aftermarket stabilizers and stuff, and also it's a case of lubricating it correctly and things like that.
Yeah, apparently lubing is quite a delicate process. Too much is a bad thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you can see, if you actually if you get on with it, it doesn't take long to pull all of the keycaps off of a keyboard. You have to just grit your teeth and just get on with it. And also, someone said, "Oh, did you take a picture of the keyboard layout first?" No, I forgot. But also, I've got other pictures of this keyboard, and also we've got about 7 keyboards on hand at the moment, so I'm sure we can figure out where all the keys go.
You can also have a not normal layout, a slightly more normal layout, and Yeah, I still think if you're happy to have a wired keyboard, this is probably one of the best options.
Yeah, what is that? Sandberg?
Sandberg esports equipment. And it's one that Chris gave to me.
Oh, right, yeah. So was that like a super cheap one?
Yeah, I think it was £25.
Damn.
And I'm like, it is really good. Hello, Chris. How much was this keyboard?
Oh, wow. Yes. Oh, I just actually tried to remove one of these switches the correct way, and it just popped right out. I didn't have to go with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I literally just went, oop.
There you go.
Oh, this is very satisfying to do. I'm going to take out all these switches now. This is going to take heckin' ages. This is going to take the entire stream, by the way. So we do actually need to talk about other stuff while we do this.
It's fine. There is, I'm sure, much to talk about. Are you interested in using this in any way, shape, or form, or shall I bag it and box it?
No, not particularly, because I don't like linear switches. Again, I think I like linear switches when I first touch them, but then when I actually try and sit down and do some typing on them, they start annoying. I get annoyed with them very quickly. I'm definitely tactile all the way.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah. Let's see. Back Firestorm, £28 approx.
There you go.
Yeah, 28 quid. That's pretty good. Yeah.
£28, and I would say it is a medium high tier of keyboard, especially for the price.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing, is the fact that I like budget hardware, because anyway, it's easy to find super expensive hardware and be like, oh, this is the best of the best, and also it costs $500. And it's like, no one's buying that, man.
Yeah.
You know, and also, like, if you want the best of the best, then I'm sure there is a dozen YouTube keyboard channels that have got, like, I've seen videos of keyboards that are, my God. I saw a video once of a guy saying, just built my ultimate keyboard kind of thing, and he was sort of showing the typing, and the sound of it, I was like, holy mother of God, that sounds good. Like, oh my God, that sounds good. And that was one of the things that set off my brain saying, I want to start customizing my keyboard. Because I heard that and I'm like, I want to start going in that direction. I want a keyboard that sounds that good. You know, it, like, the level of thock was immense. It was amazing.
The level of thock.
Yeah. And I don't mean that it was loud. It was just such a satisfying sound. I was like, good grief. However, where in the video description he had the specification of the keyboard, and the spec of the keyboard was this long. I shit you not. You know, of like the you know, the switches, the springs, the lube, the O-rings, the keycaps, the deck, and just like, you know, the level of detail that had gone into constructing that keyboard was absolutely nuts. And so, like, that's very, you know, there's other places out there that are better at that, and I'm not even going to try and compete with that. But the thing is, there's going to be lots of people in the chat and lots of people in the comments on a lot of videos that'll be like, I can't afford that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, what can you afford then? Can you afford $50 for a keyboard? In which case, you can buy one of these. Can you afford 28 quid for a keyboard? In which case, you could get something like this. So, like, what switch? Do you know what switches that has in it?
Ottomo Blues.
Ottomo Blues, yeah, yeah. Ottomo. And also, Ottomo? I can't remember, but that's Ottomo are near enough cherry.
It's got a built-in wrist rest, which I'm just like, I'm super into that because it's like it comes with it. It's part of the price. It's 20 quid and it's 4 screws to remove.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I like that because it's 4 screws to remove if you go, I don't like it. But it comes in the box.
Yeah. I mean, Corsairs come with a keyboard with a wrist rest.
£28.
It's £28. So, yeah, that's the problem. Whenever you say something about that, I'm like, that's not particularly impressive. And then you say, but it's £28, which is like $35.
It comes with an actual UK layout.
Yeah. And also, like, remember the really awful mechanical keyboards that I got over there that I bought when I was trying to be like, what happens if I buy the cheapest actual mechanical keyboards on Amazon? And they're genuinely awful. That's the thing. I can't remember. I'm going to get one of them just so I can show it.
Yeah. Didn't you get given one of them? Was one of them one you got given?
No, I did get given some stuff, but I don't use it. The two ones
because there was one that was just like, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah.
And the other ones are like, this is fine, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the Game Max is neither here nor there. The Game Max
is awful.
I mean, it's got a lot of flex on it.
By comparison to other Game Max products,
yeah,
it's awful.
But also, it was £40 at a time when mechanical keyboards were still very new, and you expected to pay over £100 for a mechanical keyboard. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm saying that compared to that other stuff.
Yeah.
Because the other stuff hits that kind of that minimum quality, I feel, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It was just a bit...
Yeah. Who makes this? This is a Havit mechanical keyboard. I bought this from Amazon, and I think this was about... I think this might have been £30. And the thing with this one, it is generally... What does this even have in it? Do I know? It's got red equivalents in it. These are probably Atemo reds, I would imagine.
Do you know what would be amazing? Are they hot swappable?
No, I don't know, actually. I doubt it. No, they are not.
Okay. Because I was just going to be like, hold on a minute.
Yeah. Although this keyboard is so simplistic, you could probably tear it apart and resolder it with new switches. But also, though, it twists and flexes so much that you wouldn't want to mess around with this.
Yeah.
But the issue is just the build quality of this. It feels gross. It doesn't.
That key press sound as well.
Yeah. It rattles. It's horrid, and like the finish of it. These marks here. It had these marks on it out of the box. And it's just a horrible, it's just tat. I hate it. I don't like it. I kind of like the layout. I like the fact that you've got it's a 10 keyless size, but you have a numpad here and cursor keys underneath it. And because it's got gaps around, it's very quick to find the cursor keys. I've been fighting this Royal Kludge a little bit because there's no gaps around the cursor keys or the enter key. So it's really hard to find when you're not familiar with the layout. And so I kind of like the layout of this one, but build quality is awful, absolutely awful. Would not recommend. Whereas, so yeah, but the idea is this thing here, this Sandberg one, the Sandberg Firestorm, that is actually a nice keyboard and is £28.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that available on Amazon, or did you have to go wandering to find that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I use
Chris,
my
where
supplier.
do you get it? Yeah. Yes. I know a man.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I know a Scotsman.
I was comparing this against my Code keyboard. You broke it.
Maybe. Something is rattling inside. That's a bit concerning. We'll find out because I'm taking it apart. So yeah. You were saying? Oh, that's nice RGB.
Right?
Yeah. Hang on a minute. Let's sling that over here. Can you unwrap the thing? There we go. Yeah, that's it doesn't come out on the camera so well, but the RGB on that is really smooth for a cheap keyboard. Like the light pipes here are not the best in the world. That you could probably tidy that up a little bit, the build quality wise. But the actual motion of the lighting is very smooth.
Oh, it's that one.
Are you looking for the effects?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and you can cycle through basic colors.
You can change these independent of the keyboard.
Okay, that's kind of neat. The sidebars, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite neat. Yeah. Yeah, that's not bad. So this has got blues in it, and
yeah.
Oh god, those are incredibly clicky. Yeah.
They're blues.
I don't like clicky switches. Take this away. I don't like clicky switches. I don't like them.
Well, you're wrong.
I shall carry on removing the switches from this thing. One of the things I'm interested in for this keyboard is what size the rechargeable battery in it, because this is a wireless keyboard, and I want to know how high capacity the battery is, because the Keychron has apparently a 4,000 milliamp hour battery in it, which gives apparently 270 hours usage with the backlight off. The backlight shreds the battery. With the backlight on, it's more like 70 hours. So, my God, the RGB rinses the backlight in a wireless keyboard.
I mean, yeah, because in a way, when it's a keyboard, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, agreed.
When it's RGB, it's 110 lights going.
But also, like 70 hours. That's once a week recharging.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is like sort of really? Yeah, So yeah, and I don't know. For that, I hope the battery is readily accessible, and that's kind of what I want to know here as well, is how easy the battery might be to replace. So, basically, I want to know whether this has got a modest size battery in it. If it's 4,000 milliamp hours, then we know that it's actually fairly standard. Am I damaging these? No, it's okay, because I'm going quick and I'm being rough. Ooh. But yeah. Let's see.
But I still think this is very much, I think, the best value for money keyboard.
That seems reasonable. Yeah. Again, I don't know if I'd own one myself. Oh, actually, yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. Actually, I'd want yeah, I don't like wrist rests, but that again, it's removable. Like you said, it's removable, and £28. I'd need different switches in it, but I'd imagine there's a blue equivalent or a red. It's probably a red equivalent. Most of the time, cheap keyboards, they're available in red and blue variants, based on what I've seen.
I mean, there's probably
How does that go?
There's probably several options, but yeah.
Yeah. I'll come back to that one. I probably should have actually tried to continue opening this up before going much further here to figure out where I'm going next.
There's a screw there as well.
Oh yes, well spotted. Ooh, there we go. Let's see. Back reading the chats. Whoop. Typing tests on the keyboards. Nothing specific. I mean, yeah, I can only we can type on these and we can be like, oh yes. But I'm not sure what value there actually is in that, if I'm honest, apart from just talking about them. All right, I'm more interested in how customizable these things are, because as I say, my interest on this is that I want to start messing around with customizing the keyboard. I want to start messing around with lubing up switches and putting in fancy springs and stuff like that. So I'm more interested in, if I buy a cheap keyboard, how much can I do with it? rather than buying one that matches my requirements, I want to buy one that can be changed in any way I see fit. That's where my interest is coming from at the moment. Morning from Australia. It's 1:55 a.m. Hello there. Is there access to the stabilizer? I assume there will be.
Eventually.
Yeah, it looks like we have to take the deck off to get there, though.
When it is all in parts.
That has got screws going the other direction there. So does this whole thing lift out? It does. I don't think the switch is needed to come out. I also need more. I also need more prying tools. I'm going to find some prying tools.
Did you just need to actually find all of the screws?
I think you're right. Yes, I think I just needed to find more screws. There was like one more left that I'd missed. Ugh, which is always the way. Can you configure this keyboard for different cams in OBS? Yes, you can do that with any keyboard effectively, which is another reason why I like having F keys, because F keys are good for that. And I need to get around to doing that.
Rustle, 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 click, click, click.
All of the rustling. Come on, out you come. My God, this thing doesn't want to go. Am I breaking this? Maybe. Could I be prying this from the bottom? No, absolutely not. I think I'm doing that right. I think it just is resistant to coming out. I don't know what I'm doing here, by the way. I'm making this up as I go, but like, this is the thing, is when you're figuring out how to open up laptops, this is what you've got to do. You just got to start prying it in all directions and going, how do you open? Oh, I'm nearly there. I've got fingers under it now. It doesn't want to, though. Like, I'm not forcing it would be a strong word, but I'm fighting it at the moment.
You have got a screw there.
And now it's going. Why didn't you tell me sooner, Caradog?
Your arm was in the way.
Ooh, okay. That's ready to go. Where did that? There it is. That screw was loose. All right. Okay, we're making inroads here. I'm going to switch to the big cam.
Did it?
Ooh, bam. Ugh. All right. Let's see. Yeah, there's not a lot in here. Well, yeah, we'll get there in a sec. Let's disconnect the battery, or the cell rather. Get you out, and let's disconnect the USB port. There we go. All right. Interesting. There's not a lot to it. I don't know what I expected, but yeah, there's not much to it.
I'd imagine there'd just be a controller in there.
Yeah, so we've got a controller down here. What is that? Oh, blimey. I'm going to need to do a big zoom in on that, which I don't know if I can do from this thing because we've got about 10,000 days of input lag because I'm doing this by remote. And I'll set right. Big focus. Ooh.
Yes, it is a Ow.
That's the controller, everyone. There we go. That's enough of that. Don't know what any of that is. 1, 2, 3, 4. What else interesting have we got going on here? Oh, those are the indicator LEDs for the front of it. There is a little bit more going on over there. That is power supply. Possibly a battery charger.
Which is interesting given the battery connector.
Battery connector is all the way over there, yeah. And that's about all she wrote, actually. There's something else going on over here. This is possibly an LED driver, and the other one is the keyboard driver. It wouldn't surprise me if the LED driver is the larger one. Yeah, I'd have to have a look to see which one is which. One of those will be the keyboard, and the other ones will be the LED driver. So, yeah, that's that. So the top part of it, yeah, each one is a socket. The sockets are kind of interesting. They're just soldered on the back there, so they're not particularly exotic, which is interesting. That one is soldered in place. Is that a bodge? I wonder if that's a bodge that got fixed in QA or something like that. That's hand soldered, which is interesting. So yes. How would this come off then? There's screws. One of them has come out already. That was the loose screw in there. So let's go a bit further. If we take those screws out, we might be able to get to the stabilizers and stuff, which will answer that question that people had.
Yeah, I presume it'd be those couple of screws there.
Nzxt controller. Very well. Flow soldered by machine. I don't know. I think these... It doesn't look... It's not wave soldered. It almost looks like they're spot welded. Because there's so little actual solder here. Don't know. I'm not an expert with manufacturing processes. But yeah, it's not immediately obvious to me. There's another one that's been hand soldered as well there. So yeah, I reckon there's a few things that get fixed in Q&A. Oh yeah, manufactured April 21. So yeah, there we go. So there's the top of the PCB. And that, could the PCB be converted? No, the PCB is US layout. That looks like that can't be converted for ISO unless I'm mistaken. Don't know, what do you think of that? Meanwhile, here are the stabilizer bars. So...
Oh yeah, just be careful because they are lubed.
Yeah, so those stabilizer bars are lubed. So I'm not going to touch them too much because they have been lubed. That one damaged, or is that just my eyes? No, it's just my eyes. So yeah, those can probably be removed and modified.
You couldn't change the layout, I don't think.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a it is a metal deck. It's quite flexible. I don't think that's aluminium or anything exotic. That's just stamped metal. So yeah, it like super exotic keyboards, you'd have a really thick aluminium deck, I assume, wouldn't you? To get that really rigid feel. But yeah. Yes, this is a hot swappable board.
And I'd also imagine you'd have a few more screws actually holding that bit to this bit.
Yeah. I'm going to start putting this back together because it's going to take ages. Thank you. But yeah, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, it is fully disassemblable and can be put back together again, and you can swap every part of it. So yeah, that kind of confirms that you could do interesting stuff. It'd just be a question of if you were going to spend a lot of time doing things with this. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I would probably, at the very least, because it's a hot swappable keyboard with hot swap switches, you could this at the very least would be worth taking the time to take all the switches out, lube all of your switches, and put them all back in again. I think it would be worth spending that much time with this. Lots of plastic, so no hot air or liquid solder bath. Yeah, that makes sense. Aluminium and exotic in the same sense. Well, would you want it to be titanium, Chris? What's your keyboard made out of? That's the wrong screw.
What's your keyboard made out of? It's made out of mostly breadcrumbs. Dead skin cells and a little bit of hair.
Oh no. And also that one gif where the cat falls out of it. That's a legendary gif, that. I love it.
Also just a sandwich.
Yes. And also for reference, there's the USB board. Nothing to write home about there. There's probably some passives on the bottom of that, but it's a board with some USB ports on it. And it is a 3750 milliamp hour battery. So you could probably put a long battery in there. I don't think you could put in. You could probably put in something thicker.
You couldn't.
You don't think so? I mean, it's got that bit of foam on top of it, so it has to have that much space in it. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty squishing on that foam.
Yeah.
That's my only comment.
But there's a couple of millimeters there. You could make that a few mil thicker.
Maybe.
So yeah, you could probably get, like, if you went for a longer cell, you could probably get a 5,000 milliamp hour in there. But obviously, that's not going to change your world, though, is it? No. You know, so it's not worth trying to fit a larger cell in there. But also that
it's not like they've put in like 800 milliamp hour one.
No, that's basically what I wanted to know. If it had like a 1,000 milliamp hour cell in it, I'd have been like, oh man,
yeah,
the Keychron's got a 4 amp hour cell in it. This has only got a 1 amp hour. But no, 3750. That is like Keychron might be rounding up for all we know. Oh no, I wouldn't have thought so. They have no reason to. If it was 3750, they'd say so. I'd imagine they've got a genuine 4-amp hour cell in theirs. But this is in the same category as that, which is that's the bit that I wanted to know.
Why is that arm so wobbly?
Because it's a high amount of extension, like it's leaning over a lot. It's leaning diagonally, and this table is very wobbly. So yeah, sorry for the wobble.
It is having a bad time.
It is the wobbly boy.
Wibble wobble, wibble wobble.
Yeah. I could probably move it up to like there, and that would reduce it. I'll try that super quickly, actually. One moment, I'm going to adjust the camera arm.
Given the genuine...
Okay, we're going to get some extreme wibble wobble now.
Oh, God.
Try do that. How much does this get in my way? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that's not in my face. So this should be more stable. Yeah, it's a bit more stable. It's not extreme wobble anymore.
It is significantly better though.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a worst case scenario, that extension. So yes. Okay, right. Let's get everything plugged in and carry on reassembling this. What typing speeds do we get up to? I haven't tested my typing speed for a while, and I think I was like 70 or 80 or something like that, which was very mediocre.
I mean, it puts you in the top 90 percentile.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have made that up. Maybe I was like 60.
This is where I fail at statistics.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that I'm only fast when I'm looking at the keys.
The average typing speed is apparently something like 34 words a minute. So yeah.
I should probably I might do a test again in a minute then. We'll find out.
But yeah. So something in that order.
Is that all in? Oh, there we go. There was a click. Something's not right there. I'm pulling out.
Abort.
Do that again. You can get around 150, but you type in a weird way. Do you do that? I've seen people who type like that who were just I can't remember who it was. One of my family members is I can't remember the term, but a tapper, where they've got two fingers that do that on the keyboard, and I'm just like, don't say anything, you know.
For me as well, I find it odd when people type like this. So they're typing with these fingers like this.
And
I'm just like,
in there.
Okay,
that ribbon there needs to go. Am I on? Yeah, I am on shot. That needed to go into that little channel there. That's why nothing was fitting in properly. And the cell wire, that just flops down. Incidentally, there's a little magnet there that holds the receiver in place, which I thought was quite a nice touch. So that just clips in. I thought that was quite cool. All right, let's make sure that's all the way down at the bottom. There we go. All right. I need to...
Yes, it fits, but also just kind of a... I now need to remove the screws from my laptop.
Yes, the screws are jumping into the speakers on the bottom of the laptop. There you go, I think I've got them all.
Friend!
All right. Where are we? Use Dvorak, you are pro gamer. Oh no. Does Dvorak have WASD on it? I assume WASD is in a different location. So yes. In which case, so your gaming hand would be like that on the keyboard. Smoke off the keys. Right, let's see.
Yeah.
SteelSeries Apex 7 is really good. The gimmicks. I've never used a SteelSeries keyboard, but they do have a lot of nice things on them, but I don't know how useful they actually are. I do like the idea of having a keyboard that's got a knob or a roller on it for a volume, because I do routinely use the volume shortcut on my keyboard. I use that a lot. So having an actual volume knob on the keyboard is something that would be incredibly useful to me. I'm missing 1, 2 screws. So.
Oh dear.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
And you know what you could do?
What?
You could start putting the switches in from the right-hand side, and it will reduce the amount of stuff that's on the desk.
Yeah, all right, let's start with that then.
Just make sure you get the switches the correct orientation.
Yes. Right. Did it. Anything noteworthy about these? No, they're not marked or anything.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing with the switches. I didn't realise that there are 2 types of hot swappable keys apparently.
Yes.
There's 2-pin and 3-pin.
Yes.
I was just like, oh no.
However, yeah. Can you remember what the 3 pins do?
As far as I'm aware, it's basically.
I think
just additional stability.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of them are all 2-pin, and 3-pin is only used on like super exotic stuff, which you'd probably only do as a one-time build anyway. If I was building a hot swap keyboard, I wouldn't be building it with 3-pin, I don't think, because the point of a hot swap keyboard is it's something where you would kind of want to take it apart frequently. And I think if you were building a once-in-a-lifetime keyboard, like this is the perfect keyboard, you'd probably be, yeah, you probably would be building it to be customizable. So you'd want the maximum amount of options.
Mm. Hot glue for missing screws, right? Sorry.
Yeah. Oof.
Maybe. I mean, we did hot glue something earlier.
This is true.
There was a minor modification made.
That's not structural, though. So, yeah.
No.
Just holding wires in place.
Exactly. So there's a really annoying thing with the battery replacement for the camera where the wire has a little flap it feeds out of so you can keep the door shut and so on. But it just kind of flaps around, so it gets in the way basically every time you put it in, and you then pinch it on something. It's just, yeah. Hot glue that out the way.
Yeah. Annoying design flaws.
And it's just kind of a case of, why was there a specially made hook for hooking this under, but not actually designed to hook it properly to keep it out the way? Still.
Yes. Right. Yeah, normally I'm not bothered about getting every screw back in, but on a keyboard where the rigidity is critically important, I'm going to be a bit annoyed if I can't find those screws I've lost, and I'll actually have to track down some replacements. They're little self-tappers, so I'm sure I can find something somewhere, but that's a thing. So, yes. But yes, at any rate, yeah, this has been an interesting teardown. I've just remembered that, obviously, that controller is doing all of the wireless stuff as well. So that's a very, very integrated thing. Obviously, I think the advent of keyboards like this is obviously the existence of keyboard controller chips that just have everything built into them.
Yeah, just effectively custom controllers that do literally everything.
Yeah, so that's what's making it possible for small outfits to make a keyboard that has all of these exotic features, because they can just use a commodity chip that does it all for them, and they can focus on just designing the physical construction of the product.
Yeah. Which is cool.
This is very satisfying. It's very straightforward.
Clonk.
Yeah,
Clonk.
like this is very quick and easy. I was yeah, I don't know what I expected, but yeah, this is very agreeable. Even though I haven't changed anything on this, it's very good. And there's something oddly satisfying about it as well, just sitting and doing this. It's the same way that, you know, when I've done O-rings on my keyboard, I've just sort of sat and watched YouTube while doing it, kind of thing. Although every now and then you get one wrong and slightly bend a pin, and then you have to correct it again before you can make a second attempt. So yes.
Attempt to stuff in the hole.
There we go. Don't forget to not install the caps lock key. Hi, Treb. So Treb and I were having a conversation the other day where Treb pointed out how the first thing he does on his keyboard is take off the caps lock key so he doesn't accidentally hit it all the time.
See, do you know what I do?
What?
I use the little dip switches on the back of my keyboard and I change its function.
Okay, well, is that
legitimately an option on those dip switches?
Tell us about that though. So this code keyboard has got dip switches on the bottom of it that do various things. What can you do with those?
They switch between Windows and macOS layout, Dvorak, Colmac, and QWERTY. And also then change the function of caps lock.
Oh, so yeah. What other functions can caps lock have then?
Left control, left alt, escape.
Ah,
I think.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Yeah, and I think on the other newer version of this keyboard, you can then customize what that alt function is on the caps lock key as well. I think. Because, yes, to a degree, I'm not entirely certain why the caps lock key exists.
Well, I
don't know why you'd ever need to write that many uppercase characters in one go.
See, when I was talking to Trev about this the other day, I was like, I use the caps lock key now and then. But the problem is now, the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, but do I?
And also, could that function not be replaced by going on your shift key?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, just double tapping shift. Yeah.
Like mobile phone keyboards have done since 2007.
Yeah.
Double tap shift, caps lock.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, part of me is interested because obviously caps lock is interesting because it is a toggle functionality on the key. So that means like in games you can use it for run walk toggle and stuff like that. But also like
but you can use any key for that.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually a toggling switch.
Yeah.
It is still a momentary.
Yeah, you're right. The game could easily program in that functionality.
Well, because
you can have toggle for crouch.
I have toggle crouch on C.
Yeah, yeah. I keep coming up with excuses which are immediately countered. So yeah. All right. Yeah, you got me there. Yeah, you're right.
It just does feel like a weird thing to have on a keyboard, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I'm sure there is some ancient reason, but yeah.
Let's see. Chris says he accidentally hits caps lock accidentally a lot. Yeah, that's it. Well, this is exactly why Treb says he removes the caps lock key. So yeah. Let's see. Sleepwalker says, did we see the video by Gamers Nexus on the $5,000 Alienware machine? I did. Have you seen it? Yeah. That's, oh my God. It's mind-blowing, that one. So Alienware, Gamers Nexus did a video on a $5,000 Alienware gaming computer that was basically terrible and overheated and stuff like that. And what baffles me about that is just purely the sheer number of hoops they've jumped through to avoid making a new case. And I'm like,
yeah, which I find bizarre, given I can buy cases for $20.
Yeah.
The average pleb, going to a website, which goes to its supplier, which goes to its importer, which goes to its regional importer, which goes back to its international seller, which goes back to some company, which goes to a factory, as opposed to Dell going to a factory.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
And like, I think Steve pointed out how sort of, maybe it was because, they don't want to certify a new chassis for EMI and stuff like that. And I'm just like, you cannot, like, there's no way that EMI certification is more expensive than the number of hoops they jumped through to make that case work. There's the rest of the screws.
Yeah.
Found them.
Oh, I feel like also just the other comment, though, is fine, if you don't want to go through those hoops, why don't they just buy a case?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, buy one from a third party.
Yeah. Go to Cooler Master. Go to Leanli.
Yeah.
Go to...
It's just that case was just staggeringly awful.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, my God. And like, I think I'm not so offended when, like, I don't like most OEM gaming cases, like, you know, the HP Omens and stuff like that. I don't like any of them. You know, the Lenovo Erasers. I don't like any of those cases, but you know, it's just like, fine, they exist. That's a thing. But I think what makes it so egregious is the fact that this computer is $5,000.
Oh God.
You know.
Also just sorry, you were saying about like the HP one. The HP one where they're like, here is a case that we built a computer in, realized the thermals were terrible because there is no front airflow. So we, instead of fixing the design, put a new chamber on top of the case to hold an AIO because we put terrible airflow in the front of our case.
Yeah. Go figure.
Some of the time it's just like the engineering effort that the companies seem to go to. It's just like, this was the easier option?
Yeah, that's what baffles me. It's just like, how was that your best option?
Yeah, this was easier?
It's just, it's gross.
Don't forget the 7 key will be 8 in from the left.
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I didn't count that one.
Okay, that's fine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You just end up and you suddenly realise that all of your numbers are 1, 2 to the left, and you're like, I need to put escape in here.
Oh no. 9, 11, 10, 9.
Oh, there you go.
2, 2, down over there, I think. V, C, D, C, V. This is the bit that requires maximum concentration.
I was about to say,
shut,
why?
Shush, shut. 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 I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but then also just that Dell PC with the custom motherboard, so obviously you can't do anything with the motherboard if or when it dies. The fact that there is a structural CPU cooler as opposed to it, you know, clipping to the motherboard as normal.
Where's / on an American keyboard?
Are you sure it's /? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be the Numpad /, isn't it? That goes next to numlock. Yep,
Yeah.
There we go, found it. Page up. That's cursor down.
Yeah. But yeah, also, and just the fact of the cooling was so bad that they had to apply custom power profiles to stop it from instantly melting.
Yeah.
And then because of that, they've actually made it perform worse than a 12700K.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, and it's just like, oh,
absolutely. And that's the worst part, because just a lot of that, like, there's a lot of that price that is in the CPU and stuff like that, and you're just not getting the benefit of that. And again, it's just at some point in a project, people need to look at that and go, is this working? But obviously, there's just a case of just so many people who probably looked at that and went, this is terrible, but it's not my business to question it. I'm just an engineer doing a job. They told me to put this CPU in it, so I've put this CPU in it.
I wonder, though, how many of them did say it was terrible, and management turned around and went, guess what?
No one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so used to having a / next to the shift that I'm just like, oh, this looks wrong. And that's going to be bottom right, isn't it? Yeah. Right, is this right shift or left shift? I think it's left shift.
Are they the same size?
I don't think so.
Because they're different on a lot of keyboards.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Anyway.
/.
It's going to be
that's above
just
the enter key. Yeah, there we go. That one goes there. I'm not familiar with these weird American keys. They're unfamiliar to me.
Yeah.
Insert down the bottom there.
What's AMD launching this week? Hopefully the 6950X, the 6750X, and the something else. I've forgotten what the other one is. And it's not coming to me. No idea. But yeah.
Which ones did you say?
6950X, 6750X?
Oh, okay.
Maybe?
So super duper GPUs then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, the biggest difference is going to
that's wrong.
on the 6950X is going to be that it's a higher speed of GDDR6.
Okay, yeah. So that's potentially a big deal for it then, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's going from 14 to 18 gigabit, maybe, but I don't know. I don't actually recall.
There, I think.
You're going to press those keys in the top right and just kind of all the wrong functions are going to occur.
Yeah. But it's going to be confusing at first because I won't understand what's actually going wrong.
Yeah, basically.
8. That's 8 up there.
It's the 6950 XT they're releasing, not the X. A?
That's that one.
No, I don't understand. Do you feel Intel grabbed a decent foothold over AMD recently? Not specifically, because they already had 70% of the market share anyway. Certainly according to like the Steam hardware survey and stuff, they're already at 70%. So
yeah,
they already had grabbed it, and that was 15 years ago.
I think they've certainly in the custom space, they've certainly got some more hearts and minds again. Because like, why is that? Were those grey before? Well, they must have been. The F6 doesn't go anywhere else, so yeah, I guess they're alternating colours for that must be grey for 528. So yeah. Well, what was I going to say? Yeah, like certainly before the 12th gen came out, for a custom gaming computer, it was AMD or go home, because Zen 3 just destroys all. Whereas now that 12th gen is out, 12th gen is actually competitive. So it's a matter of when people are buying custom PCs and they're saying, should I go Intel or AMD? That's actually a legitimate question where we can actually have a conversation about that now. I think the results are the wrong way around. We can actually have that discussion now and say, well, actually, yeah, the Intel is a viable option in certain areas, depending on whether you're going high-end, low-end, etc., etc.
I think yes, I think the conversation is more based on what you are coming from.
Yeah.
If you're coming from a platform where it needs to replace everything, the Intel option is better. Where it's a case you're just like, oh, I'm on a X470, B450 or newer motherboard. It's kind of a case of, well, you can put a 5600X in there and not need to upgrade for another 5 years.
Now is very much the key time where just upgrading from second or third gen second or third 2 or 3000 series to 5000 series. Now is the time when that is actually occurring, isn't it?
Yeah,
because those older ones, it would be wrong to say they're getting long in the tooth, but we're certainly at the point where there is definitely gains to be made from upgrading. Oh, I think print screen is there. Backspace.
I'm pretty sure the box is literally just here.
I don't think it has a picture on it though.
Oh wow.
I've got a picture on my phone, so I'll get my phone out in a minute, and that's got a picture on it.
Manufacturer, Zheng Heng Tweng Haizo or something.
Yes.
Them people.
Yeah, that's what you meant by 12th gen over the Ryzen offerings. Absolutely. So yeah, to that extent, yeah, I think Intel have certainly made some waves. I'm not sure. I'm still not. I'm excited because we've got competition again. Because Intel are doing, they've got fast CPUs out there, and whereas the 11th gen was just so underwhelming, it was unreal.
Yeah.
It was incredibly boring. Whereas 12th gen, I don't like how power hungry 12th gen is. That is a deal breaker for me. I think it's absurd how much power the top end 12th gen CPUs use. I like the i3, and possibly the i5. But the problem is once you go past the i3, then you're getting into AMD pricing, and then you now have to compete with AMD. but Dell, that's going to go there, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
However, yeah, as I say, I don't like the power consumption of the current i7 and i9. I think it's unreasonable.
But to a degree, I think that the i7 and i9 should be. Just like I think the 5950X should be able to use more power.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's the top-end Halo product. And the percentage of people who are actually buying it and who actually need that and who are actually using it is so small.
They don't actually care how much power they're using. Yeah.
Exactly, which is why, to a degree, I have way less of a problem than most people seem to with the 3090 Ti being able to use up to 500 watts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It also costs £1,800.
Yeah.
If you can't afford a kilowatt power supply, you're not buying a 3090 Ti.
I think my concern is the normalizing of these products. But
at the same time, I don't have a problem with that when it's the 3090 Ti.
Yes,
I have a problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have a problem with it when it's the 3060, and the 3060 uses 400 watts. Yes,
yeah.
But it's the fact of obviously the very top tier product. I think should use
a ridiculous
reasonably obscene amounts of power.
Yeah.
Because it's a reasonably obscene
Screw
product.
you! I'm a Halo product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's race car. It doesn't matter how much fuel it uses; it goes fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. Yeah. On the flip side, though, I think possibly the counter to that is more so the fact that while 12th gen is competitive, it has to use that amount of power in order to be competitive, which is possibly an indicator that it's not actually a great product per se. I've lost my shift somehow. Ah, there it is. So yeah, I'm still on the AMD camp. But that much being said, though, when people want to build, cheap gaming computers, the i3 12100F, it's a ripper. You know, it's a savage little CPU. And if you want to build a cheap gaming rig right now, the 12100F, you can't top that value for money.
Yeah, certainly. Again, if you're restricting yourself to new products only, because obviously someone will make the comment of, yeah, well, I can pick up a 4790K and a motherboard for £45, and I'm like, yes, but also telling someone, hey son, your brand new gaming PC is using 8th generation old CPU.
Yeah,
it's kind of if that's what you're telling people going in and that's what their expectation is set at, then sure. But going, certainly for you in this shop, going, here's your gaming PC. By the way, the parts in it came out 8 years ago.
Yeah, big time.
It's that conversation.
Yeah. McLaren says 1,000-watt power supplies are no longer silly, are they? Yes and no. I certainly agree that in the time since I made that video, when I made the video saying kilowatt power supplies are silly, certainly things have changed and the power requirements have gone up significantly to the point where there are very much systems where you want to be speccing a kilowatt power supply now.
Yeah.
That's very much a thing. When I made that video, I was struggling to come up with any reasonable scenario where you might need a kilowatt power supply. Whereas now that's not particularly difficult. Basically, if you're using a 3090, you should have a 1,000-watt power supply. And, you know, whereas previously I was like, oh man, you'd have to have 2080s SLI'd, etc., etc. Whereas now it's a case of there are products, there are standard products for building a expensive but standard PC where you'd want 1,000 watts.
I mean, it's also a case of that's a PC where you're looking at £4,500–5,000 in component cost.
Yeah,
it's not a PC that most people are buying.
This is also on the assumption that you're buying an absolute top end PC. When I made that video, I was aiming that specifically at so many people who I'd seen who had DM'd me, or I'd seen friends who had built a mid-range gaming PC. You know, with like you know, a 2060 in it, or maybe a 2070, and they've been like, oh yeah, I put a 1,000-watt power supply in there, and I'm like, my dude, that's topping out at like 400 watts peak load.
Yeah.
And they're like, or it's more efficient that way. And I'm like, it doesn't matter.
It also isn't.
Yeah.
Because it'd be below 50%.
That's it. You know, so it's just like, yeah. And that's what that video was mainly aimed at. So
yeah.
I think certainly that video has aged to the point where there are certainly plenty of instances where a 1000-watt power supply would not be unreasonable. But I don't think it is false, because in the vast majority of cases, there are still too many people who are over-speccing their power supplies.
That's the bottom. It's the 90 percentile.
Yeah. The majority of people are over-speccing their power supplies.
Yeah, to a degree. I don't think it particularly matters as much now.
Yeah.
When you can buy 650-watt gold power supplies for 50 quid.
Yeah.
Or £55.
That is true.
You know, it matters less. You can buy that 650-watt gold power supply, you know, that EVGA, whatever it was. It was boring as sin.
Yeah.
But a really solid power supply.
Did the business.
So it's kind of a case of you can buy that, and sure, it's going to be overkill for 90% of computers, but yeah, it's going to be absolutely fine. And it's the case that still, I'd imagine that you could build most gaming computers with a 400-watt power supply and not actually have an issue.
I'm trying to find the backlight controls.
Are they not labelled?
There we go. Yeah, they are. They're there. But yeah, the backlight isn't super bright on this. There you go. You can just about see it on there.
Blue?
Yeah, it's light blue. It's a nice, pleasant look. Someone said, what is this keyboard? This is a Royal Kludge RK100. And yeah, we've just been taking this apart. This is available from Amazon and AliExpress. It's a very affordable keyboard. It is hot swappable, as you've seen. It has Gateron browns in it. It has a backlight. It's not RGB, but it is a backlight. And it is wireless, both 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth. So yeah, this is what
you can pair it with your phone.
Yes, I could. Yeah. So yeah, I'm overall I'm happy with this. So now the question is the competition. So yeah, which we've already looked at. Oh, was the shift not quite on properly?
It doesn't seem to be sitting quite properly.
It's flat. It's just quite dished. It's more dished than the Enter key is, which is why it looks weird. So yeah.
I have an exceedingly dishy keyboard.
Yeah, $90 on Amazon. Yeah, that's fairly pricey. On AliExpress, it's like $60 before tax and shipping. So yeah, definitely cheaper if you don't mind long delivery times. So yeah, Royal Kludge, Andrew. Oh no. There we go. So
moving on.
Yes. Anyway, it is RGB if you change all the LEDs. Well, the controller isn't RGB in it. That's the thing.
Yeah, but if you change each one, if you change at least one to a blue and at least one to a red.
True. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think that pale blue.
Oh no!
I would prefer it if it were white LEDs, because white goes with everything.
I saw a really cheap mechanical keyboard where for caps lock, num lock, and scroll lock, they were 3 different color LEDs: 1R, 1G, 1B, and then called the keyboard RGB.
Oh no! No! Big sigh. Just that's
just like
terrible.
That is incorrect. That is not how that works.
Yeah, that's awful. That's awful.
Do not pass go.
Right.
Also,
okay.
I think your spacebar is wrong.
Hang on a minute.
I'm pretty sure your spacebar is wrong because the line should be at the bottom.
Oh, should it? You reckon? I don't think so.
I think so. Or at least almost all of the keycaps.
Your line's not at the bottom.
Yeah. Because I like the feel of it that way. Slightly different on this one.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, that key.
So I think that my one actually does roll the wrong way.
Yeah. No, I mean if you look straight down that one, it's perfectly flat.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, they also your one is also convex.
Yeah.
With all of the other keys are concave.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Which is probably why it looks a little bit weird. Anyway, yeah. I said it's an RK100. Everyone, Royal Kludge.
Yeah.
So yes. Anyway, Yeah, I prefer to have a white backlight, but the blue backlight is fine. Although, honestly,
white backlights are kind of hard.
Yeah.
To do cheap.
Yeah, because finding color matched LEDs is difficult, and they probably use more power as well. So yeah, but at the very least, though, so far I've been using it with the backlight off because you can't see the backlight under this lighting anyway. And as I said at the start of the stream, I'm trying to get over having a backlit keyboard. Or well, certainly when you've got a white keyboard like this, like my God, it's not like you can't see the keys. Unless you're in a pitch black room.
Yeah.
As pretty as backlights are, they are just unnecessary. And like, I mean, at home I've got pudding keycaps like those.
Yeah. I
and
enjoy
it looks
running
nice.
these quite low.
Yeah.
You know, a reasonably low brightness.
Yeah.
Just so the keyboard doesn't look as dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Certainly on this because it's a big black lump.
Yeah.
Of keyboard.
I wish I'd remembered to bring in my master keys from home because that one has got a really pretty rainfall effect on the RGB. Well, I have it on white, but it's got a very pretty rainfall effect on the backlight. And with the pudding keycaps on, that looks really pretty.
Oh yeah.
So I really like that, which is why I'm like sort of, oh, but RGB is nice though. However, it looks pretty, but functionally does nothing. And if I forsake keyboard backlighting and go, cool, now I can have all the keycaps. Whereas as soon as you just like when I was looking for new keycaps for my master keys at home, I was like, I want them to be shine through because backlight. And that restricted my options so much. There was just no choice for key sets that were shine through.
I forgot that being a thing and bought other keycaps for my other one of these. And it was the fact of obviously because the different colors allow a different level of light through. And I had the backlight on and was just like, oh, that looks awful. Because it was different levels of illumination across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's horrid.
Yeah.
These are not designed to be illuminated.
Yeah.
It's awful. And like you could see the cross.
Oh, no.
And stuff.
Oh,
because
no.
of,
yeah.
And everything because the keycap was like thin by comparison. I was just like, oh, no. Yep, nope, that's awful.
Yeah. Backlight is a must for nighttime when your room lights are dimmed. I would wager that if you can't see your keys in your room, then the room is too dark and you're straining your eyes. That's my opinion. Although on the flip side as well is on any desk I run, if it's not in a brightly lit room like this, I have a desk light above my monitor that is the cutoff line is below my face, so it doesn't get in my eyes, but it illuminates the desk, and I consider that a must-have to have a desk light. It makes the desk such a nicer place to be, to have a desk lamp just shining on the desk.
I flip-flop between pitch black and 100-watt of studio light.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of light. I like the light to be quite low, but that's the thing. Just a little bit of light makes an enormous difference, in my opinion. So yeah. You want RGB for your toilet. Well, you say that, yeah. I'm sure it's out there.
I'm sure there's a Japanese toilet out there that will change colour dependent upon your blood sugar or something.
Yes.
Blood sugar? Urine sugar, even. There should not be blood in your toilet. Moving on.
Anyway, right. Have we got anything else that we want to cover? We've disassembled and reassembled the keyboard, and I've come to the conclusion that I quite like this. Because the original question was what else was about there. I kind of thought, I had envisioned that we were going to sit here and scroll through websites that sold keyboards and look at keyboards and go, oh, that looks nice, doesn't it? But I'm not sure if, like, we've kind of gone over, as I say, the Keychron is kind of probably my recommended, because the Keychron is basically slightly more expensive than this, but is going to be a better build quality.
Probably. I mean, certainly, hopefully.
Yeah. Part of me wants to buy a Keychron just to review. Like, I don't like. This is the thing. Like, I don't want to get into keyboards because that's a very expensive hobby. But on the flip side, I'm just like, now I want to buy a Keychron and take that apart and compare it to this, just so I can, because I want to have that thing where, because now and then. Like, when I was at LAN Raiders a couple of weeks ago, people saw my master keys and were like, that's really nice. What keyboard is that? I'm like, it's a master keys, but you can't buy it because Cooler Master. And they keep discontinuing their keyboards.
Yeah, you'd have exactly the same thing though if you customized the keyboard. You'd be like, they'd be like, oh, that's a cool keyboard. What is it? Well, you see, it's my custom keyboard. And for only £450, you too can have one of these customized by me.
And before you even finish that sentence, they're in the kitchen making a pot noodle. So, yeah. Yeah. Keychron quality was excellent, but the layout didn't work for you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's...
They do UK...
Yeah, they've got different
layouts. Do US, UK, Swedish... and something else.
Yeah.
On the website.
Like, again, I'm struggling with the layout on this one because again, like on my keyboard at home is a TKL, so it's this without the keypad, without the numpad on it, and that is great because when I'm typing and I'm looking for the enter key, or I'm looking for page down, or I'm looking for the cursor keys, my hand can just look for the edges of the keys, and I can just go, there they are. And the problem with this 96% layout, it's got the numpad, which is really cool, but there's no gaps around it. So when I'm looking for the cursor keys, obviously if I look down at the keyboard, I can find them immediately. But if I'm trying not to look at the keyboard, I don't know where they are. And the shift key's got that problem as well, because the shift key, it's very easy to accidentally stray onto the cursor keys instead of the right shift. So when I'm looking for double quote or @ symbol, that kind of thing, that's difficult to do. But I think I'll get used to that. I've only had it a week. And also, I haven't used this at home much. I've only used it in the shop where I'm very intermittently using it. So yeah, I did take it home and I used it for one evening. But I don't know, maybe I should bring my my master keys into the shop and use this at home for a bit so I can actually daily it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be worth doing.
That's what I did. It's just a case of obviously I just swapped the one I use in the office.
Yeah, I think I might take this home again tonight, especially because it's the weekend. So I'm going to be at home over the weekend now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just daily this over the weekend. So yeah, is numpad a must on a keyboard for you guys? Yes and no.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
it must have a numpad.
That hasn't got any pads. Part of me wants to borrow that off you and just try and use it for a weekend and see if I can survive. But no, it'll drive me up the wall. It'll drive me up the wall. That's the problem. It's such a steep compromise for so little gain. Like, this is what I love about TKL is you're lopping 4 inches off the length of the keyboard. You're taking off a big chunk of the keyboard. And if you have a compact layout like this, you still have a numpad, but it's like a good couple of inches shorter than a standard keyboard. So you're saving a real amount of desk space for almost zero compromise. You still have the num row, you still have the F row. Whereas on that one, like, man, how small does your desk need to be before this is actually useful? And like, don't get me wrong, it's really cool, but how small is your desk got to be before that's actually useful is my contender there. But to go back to the question of do you need a numpad, I've been running TKL at home for a very long time. And in the shop, I use a lot of these keyboards, which are also TKL because they've got the trackpad where the numpad would go instead. And obviously, these are incredibly useful in a repair shop because these are all wireless. So I plug the dongle into the computer and I now have a mouse and keyboard. And I can just unplug the dongle and plug it in somewhere else. So these are incredibly useful in the shop. But they're fucking awful to type on. They're absolutely awful. And the trackpads are awful as well. They're awful, but they're incredibly handy. So I'm used to not having a numpad. So I don't consider a numpad to be a must. However, the reason why I wanted a numpad on this is I wanted to go US layout, so I had a choice of any keycaps that I wanted because all the cool and obscure keycaps are American layout. The ISO keycap, as soon as you go ISO to get European layouts, you have to start compromising. You get a lot less choice. So I wanted American layout, but on an American layout, you don't have a pound sterling key. So whenever I want to type in pound sterling, which I do a lot because it's our local currency, you can't do that. But with a numpad, you can go Alt 156 and quickly get a sterling symbol. So this is why I wanted a numpad with an American layout. So it's not important, but for this specific keyboard, I wanted it for that literal reason. So yeah.
Yeah.
Could you have a separate keypad on the left? You could have a separate keypad, but I don't want to have a separate keypad. That's clutter on the desk, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just like the keyboard.
Keypad is really useful for things like streaming. Yeah, absolutely. For hotkeys, that makes sense. But also, this is why I want to have an F row. This is why, is it 60% where they get rid of the F row?
I think so. I'll have to double check if this has got.
Is that one at 60%?
No, this is 65.
65%, yeah.
I think it might be at 65 they get rid of the F row. No. I've got an F row still.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, no. It's 65 they get rid of it, and then the F row becomes alt function.
Yeah, so 65%. This is why I don't like 65% keyboards, because you lose the F keys, and the F keys are basically the perfect keys to use as macro keys on a normal keyboard, in my opinion. And I very rarely have them set up, but I know lots of people using OBS who use their F keys to switch scenes. The only reason why I'm not doing that is because I've been lazy and not set it up. So yeah. I'd hate your desk because there's so much clutter. Yeah, I'm a tidy person. I need a tidy desk. Like, don't get me wrong, clutter creeps in, but I routinely clear it up. So yeah, however, for me, when I clear it up, I want it to be clear. So
yeah.
Can't you remap the keys in software so Shift4 still produces a dot? You can use software, but that's annoying because it's another thing you have to set up. And like, you know, I'd have to, like, if I wanted that on this computer, I'd have to set it up on this. And then if I was just like, I wanted to plug this into my computer at home, then I'd have to set up that remapping on my home computer. And I don't want to have to set up custom software and remapping.
Certainly not for a keyboard.
Yeah, this is another reason why I love my master keys so much. Is my master keys, all of the RGB and macros are all hardware. They're saved into the physical keyboard. When you remap stuff on that keyboard, it's saved on the keyboard hardware, so you can plug that into any computer, and all of your programming follows the keyboard around.
There's no specific programming on this, but all of the RGB is controlled from in here.
Yeah.
Which I really like. And also on here, all of the RGB is...
Young Lad's PC is on the way. It'll be done when it's done. It's taking ages because I've got a lot to do. It'll be done when it's done. So yeah. But yes. Program... Nice sharp keys for key mapping. Yeah, that's interesting.
Was my aunt's name too.
Oh, right, yeah. F keys for saving and loading. I said that to Caradog earlier on. Was it offline when I was talking about that?
No, that was the beginning of the stream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For games, I like having an F key for saving and loading. Yeah. It's not very often, but when you. This is the thing about the F row and stuff like that. You don't need it until you do. It's like laptops that have got really bad I/O on them. Everyone's just like, oh, I never plug in, you know, I do everything wireless and stuff like that. It's just like, you don't need connectors until you do.
Yeah.
And then you don't have them.
Yeah.
It's the same with keyboards. Like, I don't need it, but then suddenly I think, you know what I want to play? I want to play Deus Ex. And on Deus Ex, all of your augmentations are controlled from the F keys. And suddenly you're just like, bugger, you know?
I'm like, FN2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other reason why I hate keyboards where the default, like, that's the annoying thing about these as well. The default action for the F row is the hardware controls like home, search, backward, forward, media controls and stuff like that. And you have to do FN to get function, which is another thing that annoys me. You can change it in software, but again, now I've got to run the software.
Does that not save to the keyboard?
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
I would have expected it to have done just being a toggle, because obviously you can effectively program the...
Yeah. Really annoying. Really annoying. I wish they'd just stick a dip switch on the bottom.
Universal receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can effectively reprogram them. I expected there to be a single toggle in there.
Not that clever. It's very annoying. Oh yeah, you can't Alt F4. How do you rage quit on a 65%? Yeah, well, it's Alt FN F4, I suppose. Yeah, that doesn't. Alt FN F4 doesn't quite have the same. Oh no, is it going to be like 4 keystrokes for that? How do you... Okay, hang on a sec.
It's just Alt, FM1, F4.
Hang on a sec. I need to learn how to do this. All right, say that again.
So it's the Alt.
Alt.
Because it's Alt.
Yeah.
FM1.
FN1.
F4.
F4. Okay, so I'm going to rage quit. Ah! It doesn't quite have the same ring to it, doesn't it? You can't just go,
right.
You know.
So you know the shortcut where you're where you Windows key and arrow to move windows around.
Yeah. No. I mean, it is adorably small. It is amazing how small this thing is. But like, if you desperately need that amount of desk space, I think there's a problem with your setup, if I'm honest. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's funny. Very well. Being a programmer, the F keys are very important in Visual Studio. Yeah, that makes sense as well. Yeah. Cool. Right. Have we reached an end? If I'm asking the question, it probably means we have.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're about done.
I was just trying to work out if there was another layer deeper, but no, it's...
I mean, there probably is.
But no.
I'm sure we can find layers or program layers.
You can reprogram the functions of the shortcuts in 3 separate layers of selection as well.
You can play 4D chess on it, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say, you know what, I don't like the letter Z, so I'm going to put that on like the 4th layer down, so I have to press about 5 other keys to get to it. I require 6 key rollover in order to access the letter Z.
But it's saying about having functions. So to do some of the functions, you've got FN function, you've got function 1, you've got shift modifying stuff, and you've got the PN button.
What is PN supposed to stand for?
I think
programmable.
I think the PN is to do with the programming of the keyboard stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Duma says, why 2 spaces? Is there a reason why it has 2 space bars on it? Is that just to do with the fact that you could alter which keys are to the left and right?
Because they can do different stuff. Because you can program them to do different stuff.
Yeah. I suppose you could have one do like a double space after a full stop or something like that.
Well, also just a case of you can program it to do different things.
Fair
so
enough.
You can have different keys on them.
Yeah.
It's just an additional key without taking up any more space.
Yeah. And it doesn't actually make any difference to the way you use the keyboard, I suppose, does it? Because like if I use my left thumb or my right thumb, they're both going to hit space.
Yeah.
Although I've got a terrible habit of only ever using my right index for space.
Your right index for space.
Oh, sec. Oh.
Your index finger for space.
Yeah. Hang on a sec. Yeah, my right index. Let me try it on a normal. I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, I can use my thumb. I'm going cross-eyed thinking about this now. No, I use my right index. I'm awful. I use my right index on the spacebar. That's the one that's naturally doing it. Like I'm thinking about it too hard now, so I can't figure out what I'm doing. But yeah. What's a chording keyboard? Oh no, here comes Teltac. We're going to build your keyboard one day, Teltac.
Whenever your parts arrive.
Yeah.
Maybe you should ask them if they're actually going to ship the thing from a year ago.
Yeah, and I'm going to have no idea what it actually does. I'm going to be like, what is this? But yeah. What stenographers use? Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, Andrew uses the right index as well. I'm not alone.
That doesn't make you any more right.
You chase basically every month nowadays. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. One more thing before we go that Teltac has just arrived. Is it nowadays or nowadays? Legitimate question.
What the hell is nowadays?
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm asking. Is it like the nowadays, or is it nower, just a shortened for, you know, what is nower? Or is just nowadays an actual word? Okay, your confusion is telling me that nowadays is a legitimate term, and
yes.
I'm just going
yes.
insane.
Everyone is just telling you that you're wrong.
David Malu?
Yeah.
Are you saying yeah, like I'm not going to bother correcting you, or yes, you got it right?
Malu.
Malu, yep. Thank you very much for the 10 Canadian. Hang on a sec, where was the message? It scrolled off screen already.
Do you think this laptop can video edit? I'm going to find out.
Ryzen 5 5500U. I mean, yeah, probably. It depends.
That's basically a 3500.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that should be all right.
Should be all right.
Yeah. I mean, again, it depends on how much you're doing, and like, if you've got an SSD in there as well, I would say you'll be fine. It's been a hot minute since I've video edited on a laptop. That's the problem, because my process has been on PC for ages now. But like, bearing in mind that it right up, you know, for the first half of Adamant IT, I was editing in iMovie on a MacBook Pro, and these MacBook Pros were dual cores. You know, I only ever had a dual core first gen i7 and then a dual core i5 in my 2014, because the 2014 is third gen i5, I think, which is dual 2-core 2-thread, I think. Or it might be 2-core 4-thread. And then this laptop, I think, is 4-core 4-thread, if my memory serves me. So, am I going? Yeah, 4-core 4-thread. Yeah. So yeah, I think my old one was just dual core or 2-core 4-thread. And anyway, yeah, and I was editing on that. So, and yeah, it was, you had to be gentle with it. If you hammered it and you started banging stuff in and chopping stuff around, it's gonna start lagging. You had to respect what you were trying to edit on. But if you went slow and steady and just gave it one instruction at a time, it was fine. So yeah, don't know I'd recommend it, but can you do it? Sure. So yeah.
I mean, it's also just kind of a comment of, well, yes, you can edit on a mobile phone. It's not saying that you should. It's not saying it will be enjoyable.
Yeah. Definitely high-speed storage is an important thing. I did have someone come in the other day saying, oh, my daughter's editing on this MacBook and it's ever so slow, and it's also full. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had a look, and it was MacBook Pro with 128 gigs of storage. And the customer was like, oh yeah, she keeps all of her video on an external hard drive. And I'm like, no. Well, that's why it's slow, because you're editing off of some poxy 5400 RPM external hard drive. That's why it's awful. Suffice to say, that MacBook is booked in for a storage upgrade, because thankfully it's
Can you put a terabyte in them?
It's a 2016 non-touch bar, so it has a exotic removable SSD, which
just takes the little adapter card, yeah?
Not the one you're thinking of, but it does take another adapter card that can be adapted to the short M.2 ones.
So you can go up to a terabyte, because you can get terabyte 40mm. Yes,
correct. So yeah, I think we're probably putting a 500 in there. But no, I need to give. I know I said I'd quote him on options, because I can't remember. I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I wasn't sure what prices were like for those. I don't know if the 40mm ones are more expensive, because 40mm.
But
so yeah.
Then again, you can use like the Kioxia ones.
Yeah. So yes, I'm also. Yeah. Yes, I need to do that. I can't remember what I did. I've done one of these before, but I can't remember what I put in it. I can't remember if I bought a pre-arranged one or not. But no, I don't remember. Anyway, that was a thing though. You got a 1 terabyte Samsung 980 and 20 gigs of RAM. Oh yeah, no fear. Yeah. The 5500 used 6-core 12 threads. Really? Yikes. Yeah, well, that should do fine, to be honest. Just from core count alone.
Don't forget it's Zen Plus.
Oh, really? It's not Zen 2?
I think so, yeah. The 5500.
Yeah.
That'll be Zen 2.
Yeah. That should be all right then. You know, that should be going. Yeah, that should be fine. That should be going toe to toe with like a 3600 or something like that. And I was editing on a 3600.
Yeah. Just obviously at 15 watts, not 65 watts.
True. Yes. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I think that will be okay. The responsiveness will be there. The slowdown will potentially be in exporting, but then that depends on what encoder you're using to export. And export times are not really important because most of the time you're going to walk away and have a sandwich while you're waiting for a video to export anyway. Or if you're like me and you have to have a 5800X, you sit and play Phasmophobia while exporting video at the same time. Because Zen 3 go brrr, you know. So, although I was playing Phasmo on Friday while exporting a video, and I was getting 30 FPS in Phasmo, which was a bit unpleasant. So yeah. Anyway, I digress. Right, I'm going to scroll down the chat one more time, and then we're going to wrap up, I think. Playing Klondike Solitaire with IRL cards is strangely relaxing. I miss doing that. I used to do that. You're trying to see what you can do. New laptop, IdeaPad 3, 14-inch. Yeah, they're nice, those IdeaPads. I'm not a big fan of Lenovo at the moment.
Are you a fan of any laptop at the moment?
No, and that's why I say that hesitantly, because there's nothing out there that I actually like. And I say that in a very depressed kind of, I want to find something that I like. And like, I don't think they're awful. I'm just not excited about laptops at the moment. And I think that's just because, you know, like, I don't know, there's not a lot of laptops where I'm like, this is upgradable and expandable and doesn't feel awful kind of thing. And also, like, when you do find something that seems reasonable, I'm like, yeah, or I could buy a renewed Latitude for £300 and it's going to feel exactly the same to use because it's got an M.2 and 16 gigs of RAM in it.
Yeah.
You know, but then on the flip side, I wouldn't be video editing on this. So, you know, it's use case. I think the issue is that I don't daily drive a laptop anymore. And so I'm not actually I'm not really testing laptops to find out which of them are good because I don't care, because I don't use them.
Yeah.
I think that's my problem. I think that's why I'm not excited about laptops is I don't use them. Like this is my laptop and it sits on the front desk, and when I go somewhere, I take this with me. But it gets used so infrequently that I don't actually care. And I want to care. I want to be excited about laptops, but I just don't need one.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same problem that you have. You keep looking at laptops going, I like this, but I don't have an excuse to buy one.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it was like I was looking at the 2022 G14.
Canadian, damn. That's a bloody good price, yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the 2022 G14.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's cool. The problem with it, though, is it's still, you know, the fact it's like £1,700-1,800.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It, you know, and I've got a friend who has a I can't remember what brand his laptop is, but it's a rebadged Clevo. He's in the Netherlands, and unfortunately his one died, and it's been sent off for repair, and he's been without it for nearly 2 months because of parts shortages. And he's tearing his hair out because he doesn't have a main use computer. And the problem is he's just like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, this is why I told you to buy a custom build desktop, you know, because if they break, you know, that's the problem with these things is they're 1,800 quid, and if they break, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously there are people out there that can fix them, but very few people. Like I can't do god tier repairs on gaming laptops. I mean, his one might have had a basic issue with it. It sounded like it had a charging issue. It might have had a bad reverse diode on it. But we weren't in a position where we could diagnose it, kind of thing, and it was under warranty. So I was like, yeah, we're not getting into this. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, use cases. I don't have them. Although interestingly, that's a tangent. I don't know. Anyway, anything else? Debating whether to get a 5900X or a 5950. If it's for video editing, 5950. Just because, yeah. Does the 5950 have more cores?
Yeah.
Yeah.
16 cores, 32
yeah.
threads.
If you're video editing, you want a 5950X.
I would contend that. Sure.
Or would you say 5900X because it's faster at gaming and it'll be plenty fast enough for video editing?
Just a case of obviously you can save £175 for going for 5900.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're saying which one will be faster, 5950X will be faster. If we're saying which one's better bang for buck,
the
5900X
you'll save maybe like 100, like 100 and something pound. Yeah.
Yeah. But on the other hand, on the kind of build you'd be doing with a CPU like that, £100 neither here nor there, arguably.
I guess, maybe, but it's just kind of a case of,
Yeah. Why would you leave performance on the table if you don't have to? Or why would you not save money if you could? So, yeah, it depends on whether you're prioritizing performance or money, doesn't it?
I think I would, as a generic, recommend the 5900 over the 5950X in basically every situation. Because I feel like someone who's asking the question doesn't need the 5950X kind of thing. And if they're in a situation where they go, I'm not fussed about the £100, then it's a case of then that's a different answer.
Yeah.
Because that's a different situation.
Yeah. There you go then. Are you fussed about an extra £100? If not, get a 5950. So yeah. Well, yeah, Mr. Guru says if you've only used crap, then you won't know what good is. Yeah, it's not a false statement. But on the flip side, obviously, you don't want to splash out on something good only to see the next limitation. So yeah.
It depends. It's that thing of also just finding a budget that is relevant. You know, kind of a case of what gets you something that is better without overspending. What gets you something that is actually better without it being performance, price to performance regression kind of thing. Because a 5900 is going to be basically imperceptibly slower than a 5950X.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be an extra half again, slower kind of thing.
Like Liam in Wales as well.
And it's kind of a case of you can just go away for the stuff which needs to sit there for 20 minutes.
Yeah, Liam has just pointed out that most of the time in video editing, it's not using a lot of cores. It's only now and then when it's pulsing them, and then obviously it's only when you get to the export where you might use them. And if you're exporting on the GPU, you're not going to max your CPU anyway. So yeah,
it depends. If you're doing like a lot of transforms or filters, you'll rag the CPU.
Okay.
Even if you're doing it on the GPU, just because the GPU's hardware acceleration is obviously very fixed function.
Yes.
So it can't do the filtering. It can't do the transforming.
Yeah, this is the problem I run into in my workflow especially when transcoding my video. When I transcode my video, because I have to transcode because I use Vegas 14, which is archaic and it doesn't like modern formats. So I transcode before I edit, and when I'm transcoding, I'd have to transcode anyway. But TLDR, I'm cropping 4K into 4 separate 1080p video feeds, and while the actual transcoding is done on GPU, the crop operation is done on CPU. So when I'm actually doing that, I'm actually CPU bound, even though I'm encoding on GPU. So yeah, there are instances where it actually matters there.
Yeah, and I did a little comparison as well, re-encoding 4K Blu-ray rip, using Handbrake in X265 on the GPU and on the CPU. And there was basically zero performance difference.
Yeah.
With no transforms, no filters, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Just format shifting, no audio changes.
Yeah.
It was a case of there was only maybe about 1 FPS difference.
Yeah.
I was just like, interesting.
I think that's because you've got a 5950X though.
Oh yeah, but this was a 5950X versus 3090. And it was a case of there's basically no difference. I was just like,
but like also I don't think there would be a meaningful difference in video encoding between a 3090 and a 3050. Because they've both got the same NVENC encoder on them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But just a statement of the two.
So an interesting point there is like if arguably once you get to the top end, GPU encoding becomes irrelevant because you've got so much CPU horsepower that you don't need the GPU encoding anymore. So the GPU encoding is only particularly useful if you're CPU limited. Although again, you know, I do my final export on GPU, and that's significantly faster than CPU by a fair amount. But then again, I'm using a very old version of Vegas, so it's a very old CPU encoder.
Yeah, I think it's also a case of it's because it's a 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And because it's X265 and so on. So I think those make it. Yeah. Just other comment there, but yeah.
Fair enough. And yeah, David says, so far I love his advice, and you've got to go and start video editing. Take care of all. Yeah, well, no problems. Thanks for dropping by. Thank you for the super chat. I agree. It sounds like a lovely laptop, and I think you'll get on great with it. I think that seems like a great laptop. I'm a big fan of 14-inch as well, by the way. So yeah. Yeah, discussion aside, I think that's a good buy, especially for the price, like 500 Canadian for that laptop. I think that's a cracking purchase, because that's 500 Canadian. That's what, £350? Something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's really good bang for buck. So yeah, I wouldn't be arguing with that at all.
No, absolutely.
Take care. Yep. 5900X with 3070 Ti. Yeah, that's fair. Right, in any case, we're going to jet, because we're kind of getting, we're into the waffle, and we're at 2.5 hours, and we're kind of done with stuff. And also the laptop battery is about to die, which is a hint to go. So yeah. We're gonna bounce. 14-inch, no numpad. To be honest, you've got to go up to a big laptop to have a numpad anyway.
Yeah, you get some of them at 15.
Yeah. So I don't expect any laptop to have a numpad unless it's a big chunky laptop, in my opinion. If you want a numpad, you shouldn't be buying a small laptop, I guess. I don't know. Personal stuff. Anyway, I've enjoyed this conversation in English.
Absolutely.
Right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks for coming along. Thank you for the super chats and all the rest of it. We'll be back next week with something else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something at some point.
New video on Monday, and I'll see you all soon. Yeah.
Indeed.
That's it. All right.
Good.
Cheerio,
okay.
everyone.
I guess I'm the one that's going to find the...
Do it then.
Where is the...
Oh, yeah, you're on the right thing. And then top left.
Oh, it is.
And then end
stream.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, now ending. Bye.
Goodbye.